Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Midwest Medium Podcast. I'm your host, June Hessler. Thank you for joining me and welcome back. Today, I have a guest, a special guest. All my guests are special. Everyone who's come on to this podcast has been really fun and delightful, and I feel educational. And today definitely is no exception. First, I want to preface today's episode by telling you that if you listen to my conversation with Oracle Marine, which is episode 21, you will definitely want to listen to this one also. If you have not listened to episode 21 yet, that's okay. You can go back. But these two episodes are connected. But before I give you more information on that, I do want to tell you about a few things that I have coming up on October 8th, which is kind of a little ways out. I have a virtual event coming up. It is an evening of spirit communication, and that is over Zoom. The cost is $30. I donate 50% of my profits to charity whenever I do group readings. The charity for this particular event on October 8th is the Alexandra House, which helps victims, women, and children of domestic and sexual violence. So they are an organization that I've tried to help support for many, many years. So to sign up for the virtual group reading is what it is, Tuesday, October 8th. Email info@junehessler.com. It starts at 8 p.m. Central Time. It will go for about an hour and a half. And invite a friend. You can join from home in your pajamas. And it's a lot of fun. Also, which is really right around the corner, Saturday, September 14th, we are doing massage and mediumship. It is going to be in Coon Rapids, Minnesota. It's in person. It is a group reading, and then individual chair massage with Holly during the group reading. Don't worry, we're all in the same room. You're not going to miss anything when you have your massage. Some people get their reading when they are being massaged. That has happened a couple times. It is again Saturday, September 14th. It will start at 10 a.m. in Coon Rapids. You email Holly to sign up for that. She takes care of it, which I really like. I don't know who will be there. So I don't know if you will be there until I walk into the room and I see your lovely face. The cost for that is $60. I donate half of my profits to charity when I do this event also. And actually, I am making my donation from this event to Angels Among Us Foundation, which you've heard about before. And how lucky are we today, you guys, because we have a lovely representative from Angels Among Us Foundation with us today. Her name is Ava. Now, I'm really just going to go into it and then we'll have Ava. I want to give you a little background about Ava and a little bit more background about Angels Among Us Foundation before Ava joins us. Like I mentioned before, there's a good chance you've already heard of Angels Among Us Foundation because you either listen to the podcast, thank you very much, or you follow my social media. I post about them from time to time also on Facebook and Instagram. AAUF is an organization that I hold very near and dear to my heart. So today we are going to take a deep dive into what AAUF is all about. First, Angels Among Us Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit that was founded by psychic healer, spiritual teacher Oracle Marine, who, as you know, I also hold very near and dear to my heart. She has been instrumental in my life-changing journey the last couple of years. Oracle Marine founded the organization in 2013 at the request of Kuan Yin, Ascended Master and Goddess of Mercy and Compassion. If you follow my work, you've heard about Kuan Yin before. The mission of AAUF is to help eliminate the painful suffering of people and animals around the world, in addition to bringing awareness and the truth behind the hardships and atrocities that they face. So it's a very important organization and they do very important work, not only for people and animals in need, but they also help educate the public. My guest today, as I mentioned, is Ava Allan, who is AAUF secretary and has a seat on the board. Her experiences in community hospitals and elementary schools in low-income neighborhoods has increased her desire to help others. Ava has spent time in Guatemala, where she has helped to build a church for a community that lived in a landfill. And after witnessing homes literally being made out of waste, which I want to ask her about, Ava knew she wanted to do everything in her power to ensure all people's basic needs are being met. Volunteering at organizations like the Humane Society and Urban Angels, Ava has a deep desire to serve humanitarian and animal causes. And fun fact, she is a fellow Minnesotan, even though she doesn't live here anymore. So, you guys, let me pause for a second and Ava will be with us momentarily. All right, you guys, I have Ava Allan with me. Welcome, Ava. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, June. Thank you for having me.
So, I mentioned briefly a little history on what got you to where you are today with Angels Among Us Foundation. Can you tell us more about your time in Guatemala and what does it mean to build a home out of waste? I'm
Yeah,
curious.
yeah. So the Guatemala experience was actually when I was a senior in high school, a mission trip that I went on through a local church. So that was 10 years ago now. I think you got that information from my biography on the Angels Among Us website. So I included that in there because even though sometimes I don't remember every single project we did while we were there, the two things that I remember and that still stick with me, and when I think about that trip, this is what I think about, was how different it is to see people in need and suffering in person.
Yeah,
Like, even growing up, I've had the internet just about my whole life. You see these images on the news, you hear these stories, and we've almost become desensitized to these horrific situations that people around the world are in. And when you
yeah.
see it in person, it hits so differently and makes a
You,
lasting impact on you. Like, that's the number one thing I think of when I think about my time in Guatemala, is how eye-opening that was. And the second part was how good it felt to help them. As a high schooler, I'm there with my church and then an organization that they partner with and facilitated these projects, activities for us to do. But even just our presence, the people there and the different communities we visited were so happy that we even took time to come help them. We went to a couple orphanages. We would just play with the kids. Just like be
oh,
a fun, like field trip that came to them, like just to bring smiles to their faces, even if, maybe I can't change your entire living situation. I can't buy your groceries for the year. I can't, completely rearrange the cards you were dealt, but I can make this impact on you. And that is the second thing that stays with me whenever I think about that trip. The smiles, the hugs, the cheek kisses that we got were so
yeah.
special.
That I think sounds very impactful, especially for a high school senior, where to be honest, Ava, when I was in high school, I wasn't thinking about mission trips.
Mhm.
My path was different and I was much more self-centered and you're I guess you're typical teenager. So I
Yeah.
think for someone like you to have that desire to even go and participate and devote your time and your energy, I think is wonderful. And like you mentioned, we're so desensitized to these horrific situations. I mean, how many times do you see the awful commercials on television trying to raise money for children who are starving in different parts of the world, or you see maybe something about a war happening on the other side of the planet, and it seems so far away and that we're so removed, and it's so easy to change the channel.
Yeah,
And
you nail it. You could just turn off the TV and you're back to suburban Topia with
yeah,
all the snacks in the pantry, Ralph's down the street. It's so easy to disengage, and
yeah.
that's their reality.
I
Yeah,
think yeah, that's absolutely true. One thing that I'm very grateful for is Oracle Marine kind of helping to rearrange my brain and help, I'm gonna get emotional now. Um helping me better prioritize what truly is important in life.
yeah,
This being one of them.
yeah, 100%.
Okay, I'm gonna move on.
Yeah, I will touch
Um
on your question about the lands made from waste. That
yeah,
was one
yeah.
of the most, like, that was a day that I remember the most because it was so shocking. I remember leading up to the trip and them telling us kind of our itinerary, what we're going to be doing. It was like 9 or 10 days. And they're like, we're gonna go visit a village and a landfill and help build a church or a school. I'm sorry, it's like I
That's
said, the
okay.
detailed something. We were helping build them, and we did. Like the boys were like moving like lumber, and the girls were like painting. And I think another group came in after us and like finished it. But like it was actually crazy what a group of high schoolers was able to accomplish.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, it was literally they were in a landfill and they had like these shacks just made out of literal garbage. Like everything
Wow.
in the house was like came from the landfill. Like the couch that's broken and falling apart and peeling apart, like that's their living room. Their floor is dirt. And then you
Yeah.
walk however many yards, and that's where like the landfill was at, like currently being like filled, and like there's like tens of vultures circling around the top, and men are just down in the landfill picking through it either for themselves or to sell for income.
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy. It was like this is just this is happening in so many other places too.
And I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine living there and growing up there, that to them is so normal. To
Yeah,
them, it might not seem like that bad of a situation.
yeah,
Maybe some people don't understand how upsetting it is for people like us to see that.
yeah. They
Is that
don't
the
they
impression
don't
you had
know
when
that
you were
I
there?
get to go home to Laguna Beach with multiple televisions, and
Y-
we stayed at like a hostel type situation for most of the trip, and we had a pool. And one of the days we invited over the orphanage kids to come swimming in our pool and have like a pool pizza day.
Oh, I
And they
bet they
told
love
us like,
that.
just so you know, like probably none of them will even own a swimsuit. They'll be swimming in their clothes.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
just like I never would have even thought of that.
But I bet they had so much fun, and it's a
They
memory
had
that,
the best time.
yeah, they
And
don't
we
care what
can't
they're
communicate
wearing.
with them. They can't communicate with us. But that smile is universal and laughter is
Yeah.
universal. And it's just amazing what you can do for others.
Okay, so we've established that your heart has obviously been in the right place for a very long time. Now, can you help us understand or explain why you decided to vote your time and energy to Angels Among Us Foundation rather than to any other nonprofit? Because we all know there's so many nonprofits out there. So, why did you decide to focus on AAUF?
Yeah, so I don't know if this part is mentioned in your intro, but AAUF's Angel Among Us Foundation's founder, Oracle Marine, is my mom. So that's how I was introduced to the nonprofit. Why I've continued to devote my energy and time to it is I think something that a lot of AAUF's followers value is that as a chief principal, the chief principal oracle for God and the top four ascended masters, Jesus, Kuan Yin, Mary, and Buddha, you have a direct line of communication to them and the missions they want fulfilled and the communities they want served. And so, even though it's not a typical nonprofit that serves just cats and dogs, just cancer treatment and prevention, you have the opportunity to hit multiple spots, animals and humans, and all of the different causes. And it's exactly what heaven wants supported at that time.
Right.
And it's so valuable to have that direct line and to be able to help fulfill those missions.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think there's no other nonprofit that I know of that is doing that. I mean, usually it's kind of like one subject, and here I get to help the causes that heaven specifically is asking for support.
Right. You don't have the confines of maybe whatever bureaucracy is happening within perhaps some nonprofits that they have to deal with. I know that as I understand it, you're on the board for Angels
Mhm.
Among Us Foundation. So you definitely have a vote in, I would imagine, overall structure of the nonprofit. But like you said, it's such a unique situation in that you're touching all these different causes that are needed or need attention all around the world. You're not just the United States, so you're not just Guatemala, for example, or
Mhm.
Sudan, Africa. There's so many different areas. So I think I can see why that would be a draw. I mean, yes, Oracle Marine is your mother, so there's definitely I'll call it, this might not be the right word, but I'll call it influence. Um, which I think is really great because I think I don't know. I think that'd be a great way to grow up. But I can definitely understand why you'd want to stay with the organization because of how unique it is, and knowing that what heaven is calling attention to, you're a really big part of that.
Yeah.
So I think that's so cool.
Yeah, and I would even reword your word of influence, not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know, just because my mom opens the door to something, introduces me to something, I don't have to stick with it. And trust me, I
Oh,
don't.
absolutely. Yeah,
And
you're
so
absolutely your own person
in
with your own mind and what you
yeah,
want. Yeah, I get it.
no, and that's where it's like, when at first, when the charity was kind of starting, I did have some other donations that I support, and I still do make donations and support other charities. But it kind of came back to like, how can I not give as much as I can to this one
Yeah,
that is doing exactly what heaven wants at this
right.
time? And then I'm able to support various causes that I care about through this one charity. So it's special for that.
It's very special. I think that's really great. I really, really do.
Yeah.
Um, so we've already talked about how unique Angels Among Us Foundation is to other organizations. It's the only one that I'm aware of where heaven is really calling the shots in what they want attention to, and and not just attention to, but also the truth behind
Mhm.
what's really happening. For example, the truth behind animals that are forced to perform, such as horse racing or in the circus, or the truth behind a particular war, truth behind maybe homelessness, etc., which is then communicated by Oracle Marine or by Angels Among Us Foundation to the public. So the information, it's not like it's secretive. I mean, it's out there for everybody.
Mhm.
Can you talk more about this? I guess I'll call it a unique feature that sets AAUF apart from other nonprofit charities, and how have you noticed the public responding to it?
Yeah. As far as the public's response, I think I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier that it being a nonprofit that doesn't fit neatly in one little box confuses some people. I mean, that's just not what you see charities doing. And even when we've talked to people about like professionals on growing the charity or like marketing and getting the name out there to reach more people. They're like, well, you're spread so wide, people don't always know like what to expect from you. And it's like, well, that's also our unique feature is that
Absolutely.
you're trusting heaven's guiding you to what needs to be supported, what they want supported. And the people that value that, a lot of, our followers came from my mom's spiritual business, students or clients that are spiritually open. They really value that and they feel
Yeah.
so honored to have that connection to what heaven wants supported. And so I think when more people appreciate that, they'll see the value in it, that even though it's not conventional, you have the ability to do so much, probably so much more than just honing in on that one specific thing that maybe you're passionate about, but look at these other places you have a chance to make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
think,
you kind of said this part too, is that it's not really my mom's charity. The
right.
charity belongs to them. It's their charity. My mom is just the physical body on earth making things happen for them as much as
Right.
she can with the help of anyone who can will support us. But these are their wishes, their missions. It's not even her. She gets the visions and the messages for each of one of these causes. She's never picked a single cause.
Hmm.
So it's very, very unique.
Very unique that way. I can certainly understand from someone who has followed Oracle Marine's spiritual work for many years. The listeners of the podcast know that I first saw your mom back when I lived in Woodbury and she had her office, and you were probably very young back then. So that was actually, I just pulled out my recordings. That was I think it was 2011. So it's been a long time. And so I've continued to follow because I she proved to me time and time again that she's very trustworthy, very ethical, and very advanced psychically and gifted psychically. So it to me it was like a no-brainer to continue following her spiritual work and continue as a client. So when I first learned of Angels Among Us Foundation a number of years ago, it was kind of like, well, obviously I'm going to support it because I trust her and I do trust that these visions are coming from heaven and that she is the earthly facilitator.
Mhm.
Uh, so I can see, like I said, from the student or client's perspective, why wanting to support AAUF means so much. And I have explained, um, I think it's on my blog, but I know I've talked about it on the podcast too, that when I was first activated a couple of years ago, when I was in your mom's beginner psychic development class, um, I had a very interesting, like, I'll call it dream visitation. It was the first time I heard God's voice. And he did tell me that I need to donate a certain portion of my my spiritual works profits to charity. And then he had later told me, oh, by the way, Angels Among Us Foundation is a valid charity. It
Yeah.
is his charity. And so I can further validate and confirm from, someone who's removed from your home. And I'm not the child of Oracle Marine, but I can very much validate and help support that, the foundation on which Angels Among Us Foundation was built. And that's why it's so important. I'm so glad you're here today. And so why I asked you to come on is because I know firsthand, because of this experience that I had, that it is a worthy cause. It is something that people need to know about. I'm hoping by you coming on today, it'll help bring more awareness to your organization because it is so extremely important. I think and I'm not bashing like other nonprofits. There's so many nonprofits on this planet that do really, really great work. There's other nonprofits that I still support in addition to supporting AAUF. So I don't want to like
Absolutely. I mean, we
pretend that
partner with them. The international causes, we're little. I hope one day that we can be taking all that on. But yes, they
yeah,
100% they make things happen that because they're specializing in that one area, they can do so much, but
right.
they don't have the direct line to heaven. So it's kind of like,
Exactly.
they can make things happen in Sudan. They can make things happen for the animals. It's all a partnership.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's partnership. And so it's not to say that these other nonprofits are less than. I don't want to put that out there, but um they're definitely, I can attest to it firsthand. There definitely is something special about Angels Among Us Foundation. So my point was very long, but that's my point.
Yeah.
So I know that you all have run a lot of different campaigns, which you said is selected by Heaven, Oracle Marine, or you or nobody else that's involved picks these different causes. So there have been a lot of different causes covering humanitarian needs and covering animal needs. Now, of all the campaigns that have been run over the years, how have they helped people and or animals either directly or in terms of raising awareness on these different issues?
Yeah. I would say that our earlier events were the charity initially started by my mom donating her psychic mediumship business profits to her charity. And I would say at the beginning, those were more of the raising awareness things. And when we talk to people, either like just in conversation at the grocery store, or we'll get emails, just hearing that we just kind of turn the light on for someone on
Yeah,
a certain aspect, or they didn't realize, or they never thought about how the horse racing horses are being drugged to mask injuries so that they still perform, that people didn't even think about these things, and like, why are we using animals for entertainment, and just bringing up things that people have become complacent to because it's been done for so long that we don't even question it because it's been going on for as long as we can remember.
right. Like the critical thinking aspect has maybe
Yeah,
left our minds a little bit with some of these
we've
different issues.
accepted it. It's normal. So why would we question it? No one else
Right.
is. But heaven is like, just because it's normal doesn't mean it's okay. And I think in this day and age, there's quite a few topics that we're approaching with that mindset. Like, just because something's been going on for so long doesn't mean it's okay.
Right.
And I would say that we've been able to put on in-person events more since the pandemic. And I would say that those are helping us raise awareness for sure, but those are also helping people feel like they are more directly helping the cause. So this year we put on a bowling tournament, and I think that was fun for people because it was a fun way to talk about something that is very serious, and it brought the community together to talk about it, to share this experience together. We
And it
put
allows
on,
people to engage with the organization that they've been supporting for so long. And I would imagine helps bring more people closer to your organization so they can learn more about you.
yeah, definitely. And even engaging with each other and finding other people that care about the same things. Like, we had people come to the bowling tournament. Um, I mean, almost strictly because they cared about horses, and the campaign for that event was to support performance horses, ex-performance horses, and to raise awareness of what they go through and that horses shouldn't be used for entertainment. And
Right.
so just to help people find other people that are interested in what they care about, help them engage with that community, that group that they want to support, we're really excited to put on more events. We're really excited because people, they want to help. I just don't think they always know how to.
Oh, that's a really good point. That's a
You
really, really good
know,
point.
like
Yeah.
sometimes just sending in a donation online, it's like, okay, I think that's going to do something, but when you're able to really see where donations went, see the community that's working for it, you know without a shadow of a doubt, okay, this, my time, my energy, my dollar made a difference here.
I think too, from my experience and my experience with Angels Among Us Foundation is I know that when I make a donation, it's not paying for a new copy machine, or it's not paying for a new computer or gas in your gas tank. I know it's going exactly where you say that it's going. And I
Yeah.
think perhaps I could be wrong, but I think with the larger nonprofits, that's not always the case because they have payroll.
Mhm.
So I think that's an important distinction to make too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
speaking of in-person events, you all held your first 5K fundraiser event in California and then one in Minnesota. I think they were just a couple weeks apart to help raise funds for those who are suffering in Gaza, which is unfortunately still going on. How successful were these events? And it sounds like you plan to host more community building events in the future.
Yeah. I think we're always going to consider our events a success because we're so happy that people want to engage in these causes. Of course, we would love for a billion people to show up. These are kind of smaller events, but it's very understandable because we are a small organization and we are still working on getting our name out there. But every person that participated, whether they even invited someone that they thought might be interested and neither of those people could go, they still spread the message of what we were trying to raise awareness for. And a lot of people that couldn't physically participate donated, and it's all making a difference. Like change takes a long time to happen, but it
Yeah.
starts with these little seeds being planted in
Yeah.
people's minds and then sharing those thoughts with their friends and their family. And then maybe this year they weren't able to participate or they just kind of lagged and it kind of ended before they had time to participate in a way that they wanted to. But next year, when it comes across their table or something else that registers with them, they'll be even more compelled to act on it. And so I consider every single event we do a success, and we're so grateful for everybody that makes them happen, that makes them the success they are. And we hope that people will just keep joining us so we can keep spreading each and every message and serving all of these different communities.
I love that. I love that you all consider, when I say you all, like you, Oracle Marine, and anyone else that's helping put on your events. Um, I think it's great that you consider each and every event a success, that it's not, if you didn't hit your dollar amount goal, whatever it is, it's suddenly unsuccessful. Like, obviously, that's not the case because you're still creating the awareness, you're still getting your name out there, new people are being brought in or they're hearing about it. So, and like you said, change can take a really, really long time. And that can be a little frustrating, I would imagine, but it's true. It's just the way that it is. And it's part of, I think, human nature. But um, I know that you are helping to change minds and hearts. And I think a lot of nonprofits can do that. But I feel like, at least from my personal view, it for me is at a deeper level. And I think it's that uniqueness that we talked about with having the direct line to heaven. It's what heaven wants.
Mhm.
So I think that's so special. So to say that you consider every event a success, I'm really happy to hear that because um, it shows that you're not just measuring the success of an event based on a dollar amount or a number of people that show up. It's
Yeah.
the overall experience and knowing that you're getting your name in the issue out there for people to hopefully pay attention to.
Yeah, and we do
And
have our dollar amounts, but like you said, it's all we can do is present the issue and present an opportunity to make a difference. I can't
exactly.
control if people don't receive it, if they turn their back to it. So I did my part in giving you the opportunity. And my mom will even say, with the walks, we were hoping for a bigger turnout because it was a very small donation fee to participate. So we're like maybe, more people will participate. And even though it wasn't quite what we hoped, um, I think after every single event or campaign, my mom will tell me the next day, like, I got a gold star from God last night. I got a blue ribbon from Jesus. Like,
Yeah.
they might not have met us where we wanted and hoped they would, but we still accomplished our mission for them. We did what we can in our power. And that's kind of, where it's like, all right, I hope the public meets us there, but until then, I will keep presenting the opportunities to make change and make a difference. And we'll see, hopefully as our name gets bigger and people are more familiar. I think another thing is not everyone is believes in psychic mediums. And
Yeah.
so
I was
I
gonna say, I
think
think,
that can be um something that makes people hesitate.
yeah.
So I'm hoping that I think the world is shifting into a more spiritually open mindset. And as the name gets bigger and this is seen as a legitimate, trusted organization, that those barriers will slowly come down.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the more open-minded people become, obviously the more accepting they're going to be of psychic mediums. And I have to say, the Minnesota event, I thought it was, I mean, it was small, but it was fun and we had great weather. And I'm so glad that I was able to participate in that. So I think no matter the size of the event or if it's not, what you hoped for, that's okay because like you said, you're doing your part. You're pleasing heaven, you're getting those gold stars and those blue ribbons or Oracle Marine or whoever is receiving those gifts of appreciation. Um, but I mean, you can't, it's up to the individual if they're going to participate, if they're going to be a believer, if they're going to trust. I mean, you do your part and that's what matters.
Exactly.
So I'm so glad. And I'm so glad that you do because it's been such a pleasure getting to know you over time more. So I'm personally really glad that you're a part of it. And I'm sure it's a lot of work. And it keeps you busy. But I'm really glad that personally, I'm glad that you're a part of it.
Oh, thanks, June.
So what I want to ask you, what do you really want to make sure that people know and understand about Angels Among Us Foundation? Is there anything that people might not be grasping about your organization due to all of the unique features that we just discussed and how different it is from other nonprofits? I, the floor is yours. Whatever more information you want to share or what you want to make sure is clearly communicated, what do you have for us?
I think the biggest conception, because some days I even forget about this. We already talked about it, but again, going back to these are heaven's direct wishes. Sometimes I forget, like my mom will be like, we're gonna do this in this event, and I'm like, that seems really daunting. Are you sure? Like, I don't know. Can we
How
have
are we
more
going to pull this off?
time? Yeah, like we're so little. Like, who do we go for help with this? And it's always like, nope, trust, like it's gonna happen. The causes is just she's and we, Angels Among Us, is making it possible for people to help the direct causes that heaven wants. Like one that I think we do every year, at least every year that I can remember, is December, maybe into January. Our donations around that time for as long as I can remember, are a birthday gift to Jesus. And every year so far that I can remember, his wish is always to feed the starving children in Africa. And it's like, okay, as a devoted follower of Jesus, you want to show, your adoration, your devotion, give him his birthday gift. He's telling you what you can do.
Yeah, you can't turn
He's
away from that.
telling you there's this population in this country or this village, and if you want to give me a birthday gift, you can help contribute it to
Right.
them. And I think that's really powerful. And like I said, even sometimes I forget that my mom's not the one calling the shots. She's delivering the messages. She's working as a medium once again, just delivering their wishes, their game plan.
Yeah. So like you said, you really have to learn to trust, and they remind you over and over, just trust it, trust the process, trust the message. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna work out. It's this, it's yes, it's work. Yes, you have to figure things out. You have to maybe do some research or whatever has to be done to fulfill the mission. So I think that's so cool. And I think you're good at it. I think everything that I've witnessed Angels Among Us Foundation doing in terms of raising money and awareness for things, I know that you're a big part of it. So I'm so glad that you're here today.
Oh, thanks, June.
um, so how can more people, so in the show notes, I'll definitely have the website and social media handles. Are there any other ways that people can find out more about Angels Among Us Foundation? How can they make a donation if they feel so inclined, or how can they become more involved?
Yeah, we have a lot of information on our website. If you want to learn about any of the past campaigns we've done, you can go to www.angelsamongus.foundation.org. That's also where you'll find our upcoming events and our current campaigns. We are relatively active on social media at Angels Among Us Foundation on Instagram and Facebook. And we also have a mailing list that you can sign up on the website. And we won't flood your email inbox. We mostly send out emails at the beginning or end of a campaign, which is usually about 6 months, or if we have an event coming up. So if you're in California or Minnesota, since we're active in both states, you can join the mailing list, and you can obviously make a donation on the website too.
And I would say for anyone listening who is not in California, Minnesota, please still consider joining the mailing list. I can vouch for what Ava said, in that you're not going to be inundated with emails. You don't sell email addresses to a third party. It's nothing like that. But get signed up and learn more about Heaven's Wishes. I think I cannot stress enough how unique this organization is, and how, like, I wish I could just deliver this message to every single person on the planet that is in a position to help. It's so important. So
Yeah,
I'm
and we do
hoping,
do virtual events too. Like we've done like prayer chains or guided meditations. So there's a lot of ways you can participate.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, Ava. Well, I thank you so much for being here today. It was a pleasure speaking with you again. And like I said, I'll make sure all of the website and the social media information is in the show notes so people know how to find you if they have a question or want to make a donation or learn how they can get involved. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time today.
Thanks so much, June.